Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a real life scenario of when Murphy shows up, Murphy's Law. And if you don't know what Murphy's Law is, it's a saying that goes, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, and usually at the worst possible time. So I'm going to share with you what's going on in our lives right now regarding our vehicles, a little case of Murphy hanging out. And the way I'm going to walk you through that is, so we are a two-car household. My husband has a car, red car. It's not as nice as this little guy, which is like a Porsche or something. And I have a car, which is not a monster truck, but it's an SUV. So we have a commuter car that has generally been really great on gas, but it stinks because there's some oil issue that has been ongoing and can't figure it out. So this is the car that I secretly, not so secretly, love to hate. But guess what? So 2 weeks ago, my husband got into an accident with his car. It was not his fault, thank God, and he is okay, thank God. So this car is likely going to be totaled. So I'm looking at this as really a blessing in disguise. So I'm going to put this down for a second. We'll talk about this guy in a minute. My car, similar time, so this is where Murphy comes into the picture, needed an oil change, and I knew that. We have a mechanic that we like and trust. And so when I brought the car in, I said, hey, there's weird thumping in one of the wheels. Can you take a look? Let me know what else needs to happen. If there's anything, glaringly obvious that needs to get repaired right now. And I knew the tires were on their way out. So it wasn't a surprise. We had been putting money aside for vehicles this year because both of our cars are double-digit years old. 2013, 2011. And we knew that we'd have some repairs anyway just because of the age of the car. So we started a sinking fund. Like I said, a sinking fund is just when you put money aside weekly or incrementally, either weekly, monthly, however frequently, knowing that you're probably going to have an expense at some point. You might not know exactly when, and you might not know exactly how much, but we decided we were going to just kind of take a chance and ballpark 2,000. If it was more than that, we'd have some decisions to make. But lo and behold, this repair cost us about that much. And we also did spend money on this little one earlier this year. So the decision first we had to make is related to our sinking fund. We had enough, but we didn't want to go into debt. So where did we pull that extra money from? So meaning we had enough. We had money accessible is what I mean. Not in that particular sinking fund, like that category, but we had a decision to make. What other category do we have the capacity to pull from to cover that expense so that we don't have to go into debt? And that so we had the opportunity to get all the repairs done. Otherwise, we'd be having to stagger it until we had the money set aside. So we had money set aside for something else that was a nice to have. It wasn't a need to have. So we decided to pull it from that, and we're putting that nice to have desire to the side for now. We'll save up for it next year. So that's how we handle the repairs for my vehicle. And as you know, probably, and maybe suspect, I mostly work from home. So now that we are in a situation where we had two cars, we now have one, we temporarily have a rental. The next decision we have to make is, will we stay a one-car family or will we get another replacement vehicle? And I'm going to walk you through the decisions that we're going through right now and kind of share some insight, because this is what life is about. It's when you're trying to reach your goals and be a good steward of your money and the resources you have, spend within your means. When something like this comes up, it's not like you're ever expecting it. You don't expect accidents. So now we're in a position of having to make a decision on purchasing another car earlier than we were anticipating. We knew we wanted to get another car at some point. My husband was planning on taking my vehicle when that time came, and I would drive the newer car. Probably would still get a used car, but one in better condition, a newer car, fewer miles. So the decisions that we're weighing right now are really, we're probably not going to land here, but do we just stick with one vehicle for now? Maybe. When we find out what the insurance money is going to be to cover this vehicle, because it's probably going to be totaled, like I said, Do we want to just get a swap type vehicle? Similar miles, similar year. Probably won't have to go into, well, not go into debt, but we can probably get a car that will cover our needs within the range that the insurance will give us. Or do we wait and hang on to that insurance money for now and don't make a pressure prompted decision? We have an investment that we're expecting to be able to have access to, the returns, the money that we earned on the investment. We can't access it right now. We might have access to it in December or next month. I'm dating the video. Or at the beginning of the new year. But the timing is a little uncertain at the moment. So we're not going to spend money that we don't know we have with certainty. But what we are possibly willing to do, the decision number 2, is if we do wait, so either just get a swapper, same mileage, same age, 2, hang on, pool that insurance money with the investment money, but we have to be patient and be willing to kind of work with what we have for now. So that means figuring out how to drive one vehicle. I have a family member, my parents live in town, and my dad offered to lend us his kind of beater vehicle that is a totally fine A to B car. He uses it for like dump runs and stuff like that. And a friend of mine who lives the next town over said, hey, I have access to a vehicle temporarily if you need it. So I have great friends and family support. So maybe we'll wait. Maybe we'll see if that investment money becomes accessible this year. We're going to start shopping around. But the other option too is it's so tempting to just go out and get a shiny new vehicle right now, saying, hey, well, we know the insurance money's coming. We know the investment money's coming. We just don't know exactly how much, but we'll gamble on it. We don't want that stress. And it's so easy because you go to the car dealership and they'll say, we'll put you in a car today. You can drive home today. You know, it's just the shiny object syndrome. And I tell you, it is tempting because I'm online looking at potential vehicles, just starting to do some homework, and I'm starting to see what's out there. And I'm like, oh, that would be nice. Ooh, I can see myself driving in that vehicle. Oh, maybe I do need a luxury SUV. Right now in our lives, I don't need a luxury SUV. I know the time will come where we decide maybe to make a purchase like that, but right now we're just really totally fine being practical, and I'm a practical kind of gal. I'm really content with something that gets me from A to B. My car is not one of the things I find, I need to be fancy. It's not an area of my life where it brings me extra joy, but nothing wrong with a fancy car that feels good. So someday maybe I will. But for now, because as you know, we're in a transition, we went to one income to build a dream, so that I can focus on building this financial coaching business. So here you have it. This is how you make real life decisions. What are we going to do? I don't know yet. I'm kind of leaning towards waiting. I don't want to just rush and then be in a vehicle that we don't love, that was already, in a similar situation we were just in, knowing we'd have to get a new vehicle at some point. And then now we're out the insurance money with a car that we might not be able to trade in for as much value when the time comes that we actually want a better vehicle. I don't really want to get into a vehicle that's going to need more frequent repairs right now. So can we make it work with one vehicle? Yes. And if we needed to, my husband's actually bike riding distance from work. Thank God. Like, that's such a cool blessing. In some cases, let me share this. This could be considered an emergency because if it impedes your ability to make a living that you would normally make, yes, you can get creative, maybe take public transportation or find other temporary solutions. But if you drive far for work and this is like, you can't do your job, that could be considered an emergency because it wasn't expected, especially if you weren't in the market for a new car and you actually needed a way to get to work. That's where you might have to consider an emergency fund to help cover some of that expense. But again, ideally, you work with what you can with the insurance because hopefully you have the right coverage. I'll talk about insurance in one of my sessions, but you want to make sure you at least have insurance and coverage for that reason, that you can get a replacement vehicle. Sometimes you have to fight with them, they lowball you and all that stuff. So I know that could be part of the picture, but generally speaking, You want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to live within your means. Don't go into debt for something that's going to depreciate in value. It's hard to resist the Joneses, especially when the Joneses are driving by you every day in those fancy cars. And, FOMO can be a real thing. I'm totally being honest with you that it is hard to look outside and see people driving new cars, neighbors swapping out cars like, maybe I want a brand new car right now. But anyway, I'm being transparent and honest with you. This is a decision we're working on. Tell me where you think we should go with this. Give me your opinion. I want to hear it. I'm always open to other options too. Maybe I didn't think of something. So tell me something else. And I love learning. So thank you for joining me today. That's all I wanted to share was a practical application of how to make hard decisions sometimes. It is not always easy, but it is worth it when you know that making a good decision now that will continue to keep you on track for your future goals. For us, it is way more important to make a decision with a car that's not our favorite decision to keep us on track with building a business and building a dream that is way more important to us than the exact kind of car we drive. So we're going to figure it out because we're resilient. And you are too. I want to tell you that. Sometimes you don't believe it, but you have what it takes to do this. You're going to be in a situation at some point where you have to make a decision between staying on track with your goal or paying attention to that thing that screams louder. Delayed gratification isn't easy, but it is worth it. So get out there and make those hard decisions and then celebrate your wins when you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor and your patience. Patience is fruit of the spirit, and it's not easy to grow. So that's all I've got for real. I'll let you know what we end up with. Someday this one's going to be out of there. But anyway, I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.